December 2015, Harvard University's Institute of Policing published a study of Americans between the ages of 18 and 29. It said 80% of young Americans support the so-called War on Terror. But 85% are reluctant to join it. This means that only 15% of young people can be found as volunteers in this war. Since the Vietnam War of the 1960s and 70s, the U.S. military has relied on these volunteer recruits, who are now facing a new challenge as they continue to wage war around the world. Of further concern to the U.S. administration is another report based on research into members of the U.S. military. The Blue Star Families report states that 56% of the families of current military members do not want their next generation to join the military. To understand the significance of this number, one must understand how important the family of the members currently working is. The same report states that more than 58% of households have more than one member in the military or have served in the military in the past. The study, conducted over 8,000 members of the U.S. military, found that 90% of its members are proud of their work. So why don't they want to pull their next generation in this proud work? That answer also matches in the same report. 72% of families complain that their family members are on a mission almost all the time to take part in U.S. military operations around the world, which puts a lot of pressure on families. There are many who have been sent to Iraq and Afghanistan 4 or more times. More than 80% of the members who are considering leaving the military in the next 2 years have cited pressure from global military missions as the reason. This is not the end of the problem. Military-civilian divisions have also begun in American society. Many civilians support U.S. military missions around the world but are reluctant to allow members of the military to work in their own organizations. They think that returning military personnel can cause problems in the workplace. A large proportion of military personnel returning from the war are said to be suffering from mental health problems such as post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. The news that is coming out is now discouraging U.S. civilian agencies from hiring former military members. And such thinking among civilians is motivating military families not to send their own children to the military. The United States is a country that relies heavily on part-time reservists to engage in a major war. During the first Iraq War in 1990, a large number of reservists were called in. Going to the big war, the president has tried to explain to the people about the purpose of the war. Since 9/11, thousands of members of this part-timer reserve and the National Guard have taken part in operations around the world. Some of them have suffered casualties. Some have been separated from their families and society due to mental problems, while others have enlisted in the army as mercenaries without getting any civilian job. That is why the U.S. military-civilian relationship is so important, which is now under discussion. In the midst of the so-called War on Terror, Americans around the world have emerged with another force, the mercenaries. Named military contractors. These companies are recruiting combat-returning military personnel to serve as mercenaries in U.S. military missions. According to the Congressional Research Service, there were fewer than 9,000 U.S. troops in Afghanistan at the beginning of 2016, but about 29,000 were military contractors or mercenaries. The death toll comes amid the Obama administration's pledge to leave Afghanistan.